We drove the golf cart in a silence as dark as the sky. The trees felt like towering, beastly shadows hovering over us. Honey maneuvered the cart carefully along the dark roads. No speeding tonight. We could only see as far ahead as the headlight beams. When we arrived at the fire station, the big garage door was open. I saw a small group of people clustered in front of the red fire truck. No one was smiling. Their stern facial expressions made my stomach flip flop like a fish on land. We parked and approached the group. I spotted Lovey first. Her head hung low. She was standing next to her Aunt Sissy, a tall woman with short hair the color of sand. Hello, Sissy, Honey said as we approached. Well, Helen Potter, Aunt Sissy said with a smile of recognition. It's nice to see you again. How are you, neighbor? They hugged, and Honey replied, I'd be better if I knew what was going on. Aunt Sissy's lips were tight with worry. I was just told to bring Lovey here. I walked up to Lovey. Did you have to come all the way from your mom's house on Island of Palms? Lovey shook her head. I was so tired. I asked my aunt if I could spend the night. She leaned closer and lowered her voice. It shook as she spoke. Do you think this is about the boat? I don't know. I could tell she was scared as I was. Where's Macon? Lovey shrugged. I don't know, but his cart is here. Fire Chief Rand was standing in the crowd with his arms crossed. I couldn't read his face to tell if he was mad. We waited a few more minutes in tense silence before Macon came out from a side room of the fire station. He was followed by a tall man in a suit that I guessed was his father. He was stone-faced, but it was Macon's expression that really had me sweating. His face was set in a furious frown, and he wouldn't even look at Lovey and me. Behind them was a police officer. Lovey and I looked at each other, our eyes wide with fear. Last came a short-bearded man with a potbelly, a torn t-shirt, and wearing only one white rubber boot that was caked in crusty mud. He didn't look one bit happy. Rand cleared his throat to get our attention. I'm sorry to call y'all out here at night, but it appears we've had a theft on the island. The Isle of Palms Police Department dispatched Officer Doyle here to follow up on the incident. My dinner started churning like waves in my stomach as Lovey and I exchanged nervous glances. This gentleman, Rand gestured towards Mudman, who stood with crossed arms and a scowl, is Oliver Middleton, better known as Oysterman Ollie to some of you. He reported his boat missing late this afternoon. He left it on the backside of the island after running it aground at low tide. He waited onshore to the next tide to see if he could get it unstuck. Honey turned to the mud-caked man. Ollie, where's your other boot? A short laugh escaped and I slapped my hand over my mouth. I don't think any of this is funny, said Oysterman Ollie, glaring at me. No, sir, I replied, looking down at my spit-shined Sunday shoes. Oysterman Ollie took a step forward, then wiped his mouth with his hand. I was checking on my oyster beds and my boat got stuck in the mud. It happens, he fired off as the men glanced at each other while holding back smiles. Everyone knew it was poor seamanship to get stuck in the mud at low tide. My boat was gone, and if there weren't bad enough, continued Oysterman Ollie, I done lost a day's work and my boot. But Ollie, Honey said, what has this got to do with the children? Ollie pointed at us children with a mud-encrusted finger. These water rats done stole what don't belong to them. I demand they return it. He stomped his bare foot, causing a few clumps of dried mud to flake off his leg. Honey's gaze swept over Lovey and Macon before landing on me. Explain yourselves. Lovey was the first to talk, but it was almost impossible to understand her through her sobs. We didn't know it was his boat. We thought it was abandoned. I told them so, muttered Macon. I glanced at Macon. The muscle on the side of his jaw moved as he clenched his teeth. Ollie stepped closer to Lovey and peered into her face. You're Daryl's young'un, aren't you? Lovey paled and stared back at him, not answering. I see the old apple doesn't fall far from the tree, he jeered at her. Excuse me, Lovey's Aunt Sissy protested. That's uncalled for. Mind your words or you'll hear from me. I looked at Lovey and thought she might crumple. We're really sorry, sir, I said to the oyster man. We didn't mean to steal anything, honest. We really thought it was abandoned. I mean, it was just a junky old boat sitting there, all covered with mud and bird poop. No one was around. I heard a few muffled guffaws slip out from the adults crowded around us. Oysterman Ollie cut them in a sharp look. Mr. Middleton, the police officer said in a calm voice, we've gotten statements from all three of the children involved. You got your boat back. In fact, the boat's in better shape than you left it. The oysterman snorted at that remark. What about my being bothered? Lost hours looking for it. Mr. Simmons has offered to reimburse you for your inconvenience and any work time that was lost. The officer nodded toward Macon's dad. Oysterman Ollie only grunted and rubbed his jaw. The police officer rocked on his heels. Let's settle this and get you and your boat back home. I'm sure you're eager to get home and cleaned up after your long day. These kids should get jail time, Oysterman Ollie muttered. Thieves, the lot of 'em. Chief Rand spoke up this time. Come on now, Ollie. You don't really mean that. We were kids once too, he said then, and he turned towards us. I stood taller at attention. Could we really go to jail for this, I wondered? My lungs ached from holding my breath. Let me be clear, kids, Chief Rand said. What you did was stupid and wrong. The police officer leaned in with a dead serious look. This man has every right to press charges against you for stealing his personal property. And if he did, you'd have to go to court and let the judge issue your punishment. Here? Yes, sir, we all whispered in unison. Good. If you see an abandoned vessel, you report it to the authorities. Don't take it yourselves. Now, luckily, Mr. Middleton is not pressing charges, thanks to Mr. Simmons. I glanced over at Mr. Simmons. He stood tall, shoulders back, his face stern. I could see why Macon was nervous about making his dad mad. You kids better steer clear of me and my boat from now on, Oysterman Ollie yelled. And I better not see any of you in my oyster beds either, or I won't be so agreeable next time. The police officer said with a warning in his voice. No threats, Ollie. He turned to the adults. I think we're done here. I'm going to escort Mr. Middleton to get his boat. Good night. Oysterman Ollie mumbled under his breath as we walked away with the officer. Some of the tension in the room lifted. Fire Chief Rand put his hands on his hips. Kids, you stay right here a minute while we grown-ups figure out what to do with you. We watched wide-eyed as the adults stepped into the adjoining room and shut the door. This was the moment Macon was waiting for. He looked fit to explode. I knew it, he hissed, eyes flaming. I knew I shouldn't have let you two convince me to help you with that stolen hunk of junk. He pointed at Lovey and me. Y'all stole it, and I got the blame for it. You didn't get the blame, Lovey argued. We all did. He scowled at her. Oh, yeah? Whose dock was the boat found at? Whose house did the police visit? Mine. Do you know how scared I was? I mean, I don't know what would have happened if my daddy hadn't come home today. My mom's real upset, and now he's royally mad at me because of you two. He jabbed his index finger our way. I'm really sorry, said Lovey. Tears brimmed in her eyes. I'm not a thief. I didn't mean to steal it. Come on, Macon, we didn't know. It was an honest mistake, I added. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. You're not the one who had the police show up at your door. You're not the one taking the heat for someone else's stupid idea. You're not the one whose parents are super upset. He backhanded his mouth and took a deep breath. This is your nice, safe town. You should know. Things like this don't always end so nice in the city, especially not for a black kid. It's a good thing my dad is a lawyer. If it wasn't for him, we all might be headed for juvie, he snorted. Me for sure. Macon lifted his hands over his head. You stole a freaking boat, he shouted the last part. Then he walked away as far away from us as he could get. The hum of the overhead lights filled the silence between us. I wrestled with what to do next. He totally hated us now. Sure, Lovey said the boat was abandoned, but I totally went along with it. I was just as stupid as she was. I didn't think Macon would ever forgive us. I glanced over to where Macon was standing alone by the fire hydrant, head bent and hands in his pockets. A metal door squeaked open. Fire Chief Rand, Mr. Simmons, Honey, and Aunt Sissy stepped out, their faces grim. Gather around, Chief Rand said, waving us closer. When we gathered in front of the adults, they all looked at us with serious expressions. Chief Rand put his hands on his hips and gave the three of us kids a long stare. We each straightened as we looked back. Mr. Middleton didn't press charges. Rand turned toward Macon's dad. Mr. Simmons saved your tails with his generous check to Oysterman Ollie. Thank you, we all replied in hushed voices. Mr. Simmons nodded in acknowledgement. Honey spoke up. Mr. Simmons, I hope you allow us to pay our portion of whatever you paid Ollie. Mr. Simmons smiled at Honey, then at Aunt Sissy. I wouldn't mind another one of those fine pies. Honey grinned and brought her hands together. You've got it, with my gratitude. Chief Rand spoke up. Just because a police report wasn't filed doesn't mean you're off scot-free. He gave us kids a stern look. The fact remains that you were in the wrong. In his pause, I heard Lovey choke back a sob. We adults have discussed the situation and agreed that you children need to learn that actions have consequences. You will be held accountable. Starting tomorrow morning, Chief Rand said, you will begin island community service. I sucked in my breath and looked at Megan, but he kept his eyes on the ground, his fists clenched at his thighs. He was definitely giving me the cold shoulder. Not that I blamed him. For the next 6 weeks, said Chief Rand, you will work together to help the Dewey's Island Turtle Team. Helen Potter has agreed to be your supervisor. I looked at my grandmother with surprise. She nodded with a no-nonsense expression and stepped forward. Okay then, eyes up here, Honey began. She waited until all of our eyes were on her. You 3 children are responsible for arriving at the gazebo each morning at 6:30 sharp. When she saw our faces, she added, that's why it's called the Dawn Patrol. She pointed at us. Don't be late. Every morning we will walk the high tide line on the lookout for loggerhead turtle tracks. Don't worry, I'll teach you all you need to know about how to spot them. She moved her hands to her hips and glared. No grousing or grudges, no show-offs. You will work as a team, and your nest reports must be done by 7 a.m. That's every morning, 7 days a week. Here, turtles don't know the meaning of a weekend. Ugh, I moaned under my breath. My summer is officially ruined, Macon grumbled. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Lovey doing a little fist pump. She was happy about the sentence, and she definitely was the only one of us who felt that way.